This person I met, I want to say I've slept a lot and not slept a lot, you guys, since COVID. So I can't remember if it was right before COVID, if it was right after COVID, when exactly it was. And they were with a different company helping accounting firms. And here's the really cool thing about networking online. When you meet somebody, even if maybe what they're offering at the time isn't something that you feel will help you in your firm, help you in your business, make sure that you never, ever burn a bridge. Because had I been rude, had I been nasty and been like, get away from me, if that had happened from either one of us, we wouldn't have been able to reconnect and I wouldn't have had the opportunity to become a pinger, right? So I'm going to bring him on, Mr. Camden Beam. He is going to tell you about this AI assistant, which again is not replacing you as the accountant, but doing other functions within the firm that allow you to focus on actually being the accountant and solving the problems of the taxpayer. So without any further ado, if you would help me join or welcome Mr. Camden Beam.
Hello. Super excited to be here tonight. Timalyn, I need you to introduce me every time. That was awesome.
Well, you are welcome. I appreciate you being here. And it wasn't even like I wasn't saying it just like gas you up or anything like that. When we first connected a few years ago, and again, like I said, I've slept a lot since COVID, not slept a lot, had a few busy seasons here or there. Like, you weren't forceful in what you had that could help accountants. It wasn't a fit for what I needed at the time, but we still kept the connection online. It was like we had a mutual professional respect. And I want to say, even when you reached out to me about this, I was like, I don't really know. Like, AI in my firm, I don't really want to use it. And you're like, I think you'll like it. And you were right.
Well, I'm glad I was. Well, and you're so right. And this has taken me some time to understand, because LinkedIn is a professional network and we're trying to meet people. And if you're an accountant, you're trying to offer them services, or if I'm building technology, I want to offer technology. But also it's actually just a social network. It's just an opportunity to meet people. And if you treat it more as a social network, it'll actually boost your professional network all in the same. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about, reaching out on LinkedIn, and you're incredibly active on LinkedIn and you post great content. I try to be active on LinkedIn. I try to post okay content, but we're seeing each other engage and we can comment on each other's posts. And it's not when I like to think our first time reaching out, it was cold. I was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. If this is interesting, would love to chat. But over 4 or 5 years, whatever the time frame was, you're able just to get to know somebody just through content that they're posting. And so when you follow back up, you're like, hey, I've actually started a company now. I think it's really cool. You should take a look. You're like, all right, is it not like a complete stranger? Like, let's see what he has to say. And I'm very glad that's happened.
Yeah. So again, you guys, Camden did not like slide me some money and be like, hey, let me be on your YouTube channel. The ping assistant is actually something, like I mentioned, I'm a pinger, I'm a customer. I've seen how it's helped me in my firm so far. So that's why I asked Camden. And again, he didn't even ask me to be here. I asked him like, hey, would you be interested in joining me on the YouTube channel to tell other people about this? Especially people that are following me that maybe they're thinking about starting an EA firm. Maybe they already have one, like they're a solopreneur, just because of the time savings that I see already in my firm. And I'm super excited to use it coming up in 2026. So I don't want to just talk about how great it is. Camden, what is Ping Assistant?
Well, if we want to continue talking about how amazing it is, I'm totally fine with that. We could do that all night long. No, great question. Ping Assistant is a client memory built for accounting firms. Now, what that means is we're going and gathering all of your emails and meetings and building this AI brain that you can now interact with. And a big part of that is capturing meeting notes. Like we're going and we create a meeting assistant that captures notes specifically for accountants. It helps with pre-meeting prep. It helps with post-meeting follow-ups. It takes amazing notes, as Timalyn's alluded to. And we build that over time into this overarching, like I said, client memory. And from there, you have all of your centralized, you have a centralized database or a centralized place for client communications, which you can start doing some really cool things with.
Yeah. So when you said that, you mentioned that one of the things, like, I don't know why we started, like, AI became trendy when ChatGPT came out. Because I mean, like, anything like that's going to autofill your password, like that's artificial intelligence. But with this, when you mentioned that, like, taking the notes, that's like, there's other stuff that can do that. Like, is it safe? Because I think that's one of the big precautions that, like, accountants have when it comes to using AI. You said it's taking the data and creating the brain. Like, what does Ping use to ensure, like, the client's data is safe?
Great question. And there's a couple parts there. And we talked about, like, oh, we have a gazillion note takers out there. Like, why is Ping just another note taker? Security with the notes, right? There's two parts to this conversation. Let's talk security, and then I would love to go back to the note taker, because believe it or not, everybody and their dog asks me that question. It's like, oh, is this just another note taker?
And I actually have an answer for that too. It's not.
And I love it, because it's not. And it's note taking is a function. Like, it's almost just like we have to have it so we can do the other stuff. But in terms of security, I've been in the accounting space for a while now, and it's funny. I don't think people realize that this probably is like the most security minded group I've ever met ever, right? Like, I was at a company called Divvy, which was an expense management solution. We got acquired by Bill.com. And when we got acquired, I went and started a venture fund and a VC fund investing in early stage tech. And you'd be surprised. Because you'd go in and see these companies, you talk to their buyers, and nobody cares about security as much as an accountant. So when I started Ping, I knew security was going to be the first purchase. The first thing I did, I incorporated the company, and then we got a SOC 2 audit started like the next day, because I just knew how important it was going to be. So we're actually finishing up our SOC 2 audit in the next week and a half, which will be awesome. Very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But security, it really comes down to three things: the right vendors. Now, we spend a lot of money to use the right people. We still are, and will be on AWS. But if you didn't hear, there was a little bit of a snafu yesterday. AWS had some big outages, but so just half the internet was down. That was it,
right.
Us included. But we choose the right vendors. We don't go cheap on security in terms of authentication. We're using Google and Microsoft as the way that you create accounts. We're using the right vendors in terms of how we're storing data, right? So we're using AWS. We're using tools like Clerk, which helps with user management. And there's a number of other tools that we're using to make sure that everything is done properly, and we're not skimping on any of those vendors. The second step is processes. So we're making sure that being SOC 2 compliant, you have to have everything, proper encryption standards. You need to make sure that you have proper processes within the company itself. There's a lot of documentation, especially for a small firm like us. We've spent a lot of time building documentation and building processes to show and prove that we're handling data appropriately. And then the third thing is training the team. I'm the one that's closest to accountants on my team. We have some software developers and then some other people helping out with getting the word out of Ping. And SOC 2 is awesome, but it's a stamp. And the stamp is great, and you need it because it's a safety blanket, but there's a lot of things past that stamp that need to be done. And that's having proper conversations with teams. It's also just making sure we're not falling for silly little phishing attacks, right, on email. Like, I don't know if you've seen that. Actually, from my old company, I just got a text saying, Camden, you just sent me an email asking you to buy $100 of Apple gift cards, right? To an old employee. I'm like, well, because I still have my email there. And I was like, well, I definitely didn't send that to you. So I don't even like look at it. Probably wasn't me. But when we look at our processes and who we are as a team, we put security incredibly, it's very important to us, and making sure we're not cutting corners.
Awesome. So I'm checking on my phone. We have some people tuning in from LinkedIn. Somebody from my alma mater, Nate Littles, he's a CPA here in town. He says, hey, checking in on LinkedIn. They're about 40 seconds behind us. So thanks, Nate. We have Denise. I think Cassie was the first person. So I see somebody on here also said they remember Divvy.
Hey, got to represent.
There is something else that we have noticed within the accounting profession, especially when it comes to technology. There are people who are seeing it as an opportunity to like lower cost by, creating softwares, using AI, offshoring different work and processes. And it's more of like a money grab versus actually understanding like how an accounting firm and those processes would work. So for you, I know you're not an accountant, but the audience doesn't know. What made you interested in wanting to partner with accountants in the first place?
Yeah, so I'm the son of a CPA. Now, I always tell people he flipped to the dark side. He ran an accounting firm and now he has a wealth management firm. So him and his brother have a wealth management firm. But I've always been around accountants. I've grown up, like we would just talk. My favorite story is like, hey, we would drive past in Utah, you have big house, random plot of land, big house, big house, big house. And you're like driving by, and growing up, I lived in Seattle, but we'd go visit Utah. And I was like, why is that? Like, they just have like a farm in the middle of a neighborhood? That's so weird. And he's like, well, that's because they're getting a step up in bases and blah, blah, blah. And his CPA came out and we started to learn all of the tax strategies to save money when you're passing down money to your kids and things like that. And so I've always been in the world of accounting. My uncle was the one who co-founded Divvy, which sounds like, who was it, Paula? She knows Divvy, or at least remembers Divvy. And so in 2016, when he first started, I just got out of school and I said, can I just work for you for free? I'll do anything. Like, I just want to be here. Like, there was less than 20 people. Divvy was just, a twinkle in his eye. And it was very, very early. And for 6 months, my only form of payment was because we were building a credit card and we had to figure out how to tie it to technology. And so I would drive to the gas station, swipe the Divvy card, fill up my gas tank, drive back to the office and say, did it work? He's like, no, go buy some candy. I would go back to buy a candy bar, I'd come back. And eventually I earned some trust and respect. I was no longer just the co-founder's nephew that was building desks and picking up Costco orders. And we started building out this ragtag group of people that were working on this thing called an accounting partnership. And this accounting partnership was working with accounting firms to introduce Divvy to their clients. And I don't even think the lights worked in the corner of the office that they put us. Like, it was just like, it's not going to work, right? Like, because Divvy was selling to small businesses. And the idea was like, well, accountants know small businesses. In fact, we make accountants' lives infinitely easier. What if we introduce this to accountants and then they gave it to their clients? And like I said, they didn't really believe in it. Ended up being a huge success. It was one of Divvy's fastest growing channels because turns out the client and accountant relationship is incredibly intimate. And if accountant says, hey, you should implement this, a client is going to say, if the accountant says jump, the client usually asks how high, right? And whereas if somebody like us at Divvy was coming as a salesperson saying, hey, you should use Divvy, they're like, I'm not as interested.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's where I learned that client relationship was super, super, super both intimate and valuable. And so long story to answer your question, I had been around the accounting space. I was able to then implement technology in accountants at a pretty large scale. And then after investing in going into the VC world and investing in companies, I realized building tech companies is way more fun than investing in it. So hopped back out and I was like, okay, the world of AI is crazy. There's so many different things that it could be.
Yeah.
I believe that the client relationship is everything. So I'm just going to build something that focuses on the client relationship. And I also know accountants. So we're focusing on the client relationship with accounting firms. And that's how Ping was born.
I love it. And I think like you were talking about step up in bases and different tax saving strategies with your dad and learning those like kind of naturally. The followers on my different channels and platforms know my business partner, which is no longer the cute little tooth kid. She's in middle school now. Just different steps along the way that she's been with me. And when you introduce this as a time saver and note taker, so I'm going to kind of answer the question about, is it just a note taker? Because it's not. It really is like specialized for accountants. And I can say for me, in the way that I take notes, the questions like during a consultation that I want to make sure that I ask, that I follow up on. What you all have done at Ping is to help to kind of categorize the notes in the place where I need them. So even if I'm looking at a meeting recap, I can be like, oh, shoot, I forgot to ask that. And that was the main reason of the call. But it's nice, too, if I have a follow-up call because I can look, you referred to it already as like the pre-meeting, like the prep, and be like, okay, make sure I follow up on the niece that's staying with them now. But I really need to harp in on this question. It's helped me, and the reason I brought up my daughter is because I cannot tell you literally how many nights she has sat by my desk, and now that I'm in the office, how many nights she sat in my office, and I'm like, all right, I gotta send 4 more emails. But she's like waiting for me. She's like, you're not even looking at your email. And it's because I'm like looking in my notebook, like, what did I write down? Like, what did I write there? Like, I can't even read that. So Ping is like taking that summary of the meeting and then like pointing out the highlights that need to be followed up on and having the action steps, which literally takes like where I need to write these 4 emails that might have taken me an hour before. Even though I'm a good writer, I can spell, I kind of remember my meetings. But like I said, looking at the highlights, this is what the follow-up actions were that like I said I needed to follow up on, and being like, okay, now I can put it in my words and send it. And going back to the brain. So you were talking about creating that brain. It is closed AI. It's only looking at stuff for that client. I am learning to say things in a way where it will give me that follow-up task. It's like, all right, me and Ping are going to work together here.
I love it. That's awesome.
So yes, I can speak for it. If Camden was full of it, he wouldn't be on here with me tonight. Well, it's not just an ordinary note taker.
Well, I love that. And we're continuing to iterate because I view note-taking as in its purest form as a commodity. Like there's Zoom, Teams, Google Meets has it built into the platform. There's a gazillion note takers out there. And it's like, okay, well, why would I use something like Ping? And I love what you just mentioned, Timalyn, is we're trying to actually, it's actually not the note taking itself, it's what you do with them that matters, right? Like, are you writing an email? Great, let's make sure that it's drafting the way that you want it to be drafted. Are you using this to reference so you can go and do some of the work that the actual like accounting work or the tax work that you're working with your client? Or is this just like, okay, wait, her daughter's starting at LSU this fall? Is that what it was? I can't, like just the little like personal things. And what we've done, and this has been some recent development within the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, we're now compounding those meetings on top of each other. And we've created that memory so that we have this, it's not just looking at one meeting, but it's looking at 5 meetings and it's looking at your emails. And so now you can have this interaction where it's like, okay, wait, who was this person again? And it's not just the last meeting you had with them. You can actually look at them at a holistic view, which is, for me, that's where I get the most excited.
Yeah, and it goes back to what you mentioned earlier, and I can attest to as well because not just as like someone in the tax space, like I feel cared for as a client because you guys remember I said I am a pinger, I'm a paid subscriber. Again, like
Hey, I love
we
it.
wouldn't be here if the product wasn't good. But like you care about my client experience, and then there have been suggestions that I've made that I've seen come down the pipeline. We're like, hey, how can I make this better for you, Timlin, but also make it better for your clients so that I can give the same care to my clients as well. And that's one of the things that I really love. Um, in addition to, and I promise I'm going to let you talk about your own product, but
I actually would rather not. Timlin, this is great. You're crushing it.
I was gonna say, in addition to like, there are a lot of different note takers I see that can go into like a Zoom meeting. But with Ping, the coolest feature, and I keep human error messing it up. Ping can actually like go with you to a phone call now. So like, it doesn't have to be a Zoom meeting. I've had it go with me to a Google Meet meeting. It can go to a Teams meeting. But for me, and again, I'll get my human error worked out. Being able to follow me to a phone call, because for me, everybody is not going to have the privilege of seeing me on Zoom. Some people start with a phone call and maybe that's just a consultation. And I've had people where I have that consultation and maybe they'll come back 18 months later because, whoops, I thought you were kidding, but now the IRS has levied me. I need help. And it is hard sometimes to go through my index cards or notebooks and be like, who is this person I talked to in May of 2023? Whereas now Ping, I have the ability to be like, okay, this is what it was. I can see from a high level and we can jump right back in. So again, I really appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to using it like this upcoming tax season with 2026. But Paula asked or made a statement that I am actually interested in seeing as well. And I know you're not a fortune teller, but how do you see Ping disrupting the space? Because I think AI is here to stay, right?
I believe it. I'm also drinking the Kool-Aid though, Timlin. I realize that, but I'm a big believer in it.
So how do you feel that Ping can disrupt this space?
Yeah. So it's interesting. When you're building tech, you're always supposed to be disrupting. Like that's your job, right?
Right.
And I actually don't view, this is a very interesting question. Thanks, Paula, for asking it. Because I actually don't view Ping as necessarily disrupting. I actually don't intend on Ping replacing. It's actually enhancing and taking administrative tasks. So I guess if I had to pick a disruption, it's going to be taking out the low level, the quick drafting of the email, the quick sorting through all of your notes to find this right answer, the ability to go and autofill a spreadsheet using client context. That's, I would say, might be a stretch to call it a disruption, but that's where I want to be. In 5 to 10 years, I don't know what AI is going to be able to do. If we did, we should all band together, pool our money together, and we could invest and make a lot of money. Like if you know, let me know, and we can work together. But my guess and what I believe will happen is that more and more of the lowest level work will be automated. When I say, and we're not focusing on anything technical. Like I said at the very beginning, I'm all in on the client relationship, because one thing I've bet my entire career on, I'm very confident, is in 5 to 10 years, what is going to matter is that client relationship. Yeah. Because who knows what's going to be done? I mean, if we're talking about tax work, like, are you going to have to, what level are you going to have to interact with the tax return? Are you going to have to fill it out yourself? Or are you going to have a tool that fills it out for you? Or are you already having that? Are you going to just be the review at the end of it? Or do you even have to review it? Like, you start having these questions like, what ifs? And I don't know the what ifs. And there's some smart people building products that don't work and smart people that are building products that do work, right? But what I do believe is that the interaction between people is still going to be incredibly crucial. I mean, you talked about somebody calling you and saying, oh, I don't think the IRS is going to come after me. 18 months later, they're coming after you. They're calling you because yes, they need help getting out of this situation, but they actually almost need a financial therapist, right? Like they need like a person to be like, I'm stressed out of my mind. Like, is this going to be okay? Like, am I going to go to jail? Like you start having these questions and it's like, no, let me talk you through it. We're going to handle this. We're going to make it happen. They actually don't care how much you do. They actually just care that it's you, right? I hope that makes sense. Cause it's
yes.
The great example. Now, my dad's in the wealth management industry. We talked about that. There's something called robo-advisors. So in wealth management, your job is to invest capital, right? And you usually put it into a bunch of ETFs and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of wealth advisors don't even do their own wealth management. Like they're just the face to a bigger machine. Well, robo-advisors can do everything that you would want a wealth advisor to do on paper. Like literally everything. It will balance your portfolio. It will put you in all the places you want to be. It will adjust according to your risk tolerance. And yet it's never been a better year or better time to be a wealth advisor. Like full stop, I could replace a wealth advisor today, but people don't want that. They want to be able to come in and sit in the office or hop on a Zoom call or hop on a phone call and say, I'm stressed out of my mind. Like my kid's going to school, this is happening. I have a lot. Anyways, there's just so much more nuance that I think we can do with AI that gets exciting.
So Paula says, makes complete sense, Camden. Very cool to hear your vision of Ping enhancing the client advisor relationship. And what I think I've been a Pinger now 3 months, a few months.
You're an OG, Timalyn. You're like you're like a OG.
But like I said, I'm excited. You guys are definitely there are different platforms that you're integrating with. You mentioned before when we were talking about security, you do have to sign in with your Outlook account or a Gmail account. So right off the bat, we're integrating with that. We're able to integrate with Zoom, Google. The cool feature now, if you're having an in-person meeting, Ping can still join you, record the meeting, get the notes in there, which it made me think, not a lot of people have this anymore, but I was in a meeting with somebody and their assistant was taking notes and I was like, that's a pretty intense job to follow somebody's meetings and take notes. But I was like, with that, you're not necessarily relying on a person and then that goes into the whole thing. We're taking jobs away. But for the small solo firm that can't afford that, this provides the perfect opportunity, again, just to save time and to be on top of your game. Because I have people that are like, well, I don't use a CRM. And it's like, yep, you got under 25 clients. I can guarantee you, because once you grow, you need something to help you remember things. And with Ping, I promise I'm going to stop. But
no, please don't. There's no promise for me. This is awesome.
Like I said, with Ping, it already is the time saver, and I can see where it's going to be able to help me with clients with things that may have just been we had an official meeting, but maybe something important was mentioned at the end that I just didn't jot down. It's like, oh yeah, we started a trust. When is the filing requirement? Those kinds of small things where I can add value, or maybe from the perspective of an actual firm owner, not just provide value, but it's also an upsell, because now we need tax planning for this trust that I may have completely forgotten about because I was actually doing what I was supposed to do and paying attention and engaging with my client. Which brings me to the Zoom cover, right? The new Ping Zoom cover. So I hopped on a meeting this week, you guys, and now Ping, it doesn't say Ping, I think it was Ping AI Assistant before. It says, I don't want to misquote it.
Well, now you're going to put me on the spot. I believe it says taking notes so your accountant can focus on you. I think that's what it says.
Yes. So I think 2 of the meetings, the people, because I always ask permission to make sure that the client's cool with it being there. they actually pointed it out before me, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool that you have that, so like we can be fully engaged." And I was like, "Yes, like they get it."
Yeah.
This helps you out. Not like I'm not being lazy. Like this is going to actually help the experience that we have. Um, so Robert has a question, and we have two Roberts on here. Robert on YouTube asked, "How does Ping interact with my conversation with the client? Is it an extension or something? How does it go from Zoom to a phone call?"
Great question. Also, I do need to shout out Cassie. She's actually a pinger as well, so she's on the call.
Let me see.
Yeah, Cassie Hardcastle. So she's a longtime Ping user as well. So just wanted to give her a shout out. But
so we're in the OG club.
You both are actually. I'll have to check who's more OG, but it's pretty close. Okay, so to answer Robert's question, great question. How is it going to actually interact with the client? Let's talk digitally. If you're meeting with a client in person, and so there's meetings and there's emails, right? Because there's two parts. And Timalyn, soon there's going to be documents. We're working on it. We're really excited about it. But let's start with meetings, and I use my hands, so I'll try to keep them in frame. Meetings, emails. When we look at the meeting side of things, it's going to be joining based off of your calendar. So if you're logging in via, you're on Outlook, you're going to have a bunch of Teams meetings, a bunch of Zoom meetings. It's going to go and find the links in your calendar, and it will join those meetings automatically. If you're having an ad hoc meeting, you can send the link accordingly. And it will sit in the background of the meeting. You've likely seen some other note taker on some other call that you've had, and it sits as an attendee. We now have a nice little interface that shows, hey, we're taking notes, so your accountant can focus on you. And from there, you said, how does Ping interact with conversation with the client? So it captures all that information, and then we start doing the magic on the back end with Ping, and you can log in and start interacting with that conversation. In terms of an extension or how does it go to a phone call, it will call you and you join it as a conference call. So you type in your own phone number, it will call you, you merge it, and now it's recording the conversation. So it's not an extension. It's actually just connected to your calendar automatically. The sign up is pretty seamless. It takes, once you've connected your calendar, you're done with the meeting assistant. Then that's the meeting side of things. On the email side, it's even simpler. You connect your email, and any email that is interacting with that specific client's email will be synced back and forth. So if I'm emailing Timalyn, in fact, I have a Timalyn client in my account, and every contact I have with Timalyn is getting fed into this profile of Timalyn. And now I know who she is, and I can go through and see what matters. I can go and like, oh shoot, do I owe Timalyn anything? I can ask Ping, and it'll go and search all of my interactions with her and be like, well, you have this live stream, and she's needing your bio. In fact, this is what it did this. I was like, oh, I need to send her my bio. And so I was able to go and quickly grab that information and send it to her. I even used Ping to do it. But that's how it's interacting with your clients.
Yeah. So, and I will say, because I don't know if I should say bad or good about this. Sometimes when a client or returning client of mine, maybe we need to do a case update, because I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, the IRS is crazy right now, understaffed. It's like, hey, we need to talk about this right now. If the meeting is not on your calendar and you're like, hey, let's do a Zoom real quick, you can actually open up Ping and put the URL or the invite from the meeting in Ping, and Ping will come, like Camden said, as an attendee there as well. Let me see here.
And Timalyn, you said something interesting about upsell and cross-sell opportunities. When, as a solo, I mean, at a larger firm, there's a whole conversation about how you're going to have multiple departments. They're not going to hear what you're going to have your tax team and your audit team. They're not going to even understand, or your tax team and your bookkeeping team. We can do some cool cross-selling things there. But we're actually, for the solo entrepreneur or small office, we are identifying upsell opportunities, starting with client intelligence. We're saying these are the services we offer, and from all the interactions, these are services that they seem to be interested in. And if we find something that you're not offering, we want to highlight that to you. For example, they say something at the very end of the call, and you're like, okay, cool, see ya. Like, we want to do more than just you're going to review your notes. You're going to see like, oh, I should actually talk to them about their estate, and let's get that as another offering. We want to be more proactive with that and start surfacing that information. So that's what we're building right now in this, we're calling it firm intelligence, to help you surface information across the entire conversations that you're having. So you don't have to chase things down. We want to be just a lot more proactive in the information that we're feeding.
Mm-hmm. So again, and I love this too, you guys are like, hey, we're not focused on the technical side. We're not trying to replace you as the accountant. It really is like having an assistant. Like, yes, it's taking notes, but all of the information that you actually get from the notes to help you, like you said, with the cross sells, upsells, what does our client actually need that they're saying that we've just kind of been like, yeah. You have this assistant now that just happens to be AI that's like, hey, Timalyn, this person's been telling you about their estate, bringing it up every meeting, and you're not providing any value around this.
Hey, they want your service. Help them. That's the goal.
Which sometimes, and I don't know why this is, I've talked to people like when they've come to me as a new client, sometimes we as accountants have trouble making that upsell. Like, I'll have people be like, I've been asking my accountant like for years, like, I need help with my quarterly payments. And I'm like, they're probably waiting for you. And I know it's weird, waiting for you to say, how much is this? Whereas if you have a firm and you're listening right now, don't be afraid of the upsell. It should be more of a, hey, we can do this for you for this price. Because if they keep mentioning it, chances are they want you to do it, but they don't know how to initiate that.
And really quick on that, what's interesting, it comes down to that accountants, when I was teaching my team about accountants, I sat them down and said, okay, why do you think accountants are accountants? Like, they want stability, they want this. Like, nope, there's one answer. They want to help people. Literally everything else is actually a byproduct of being, like, they're competent enough with numbers. Some people are really good, some people are less good, but at the core of every accountant, they want to help people, right? They want to help a business succeed. They want to help a family handle their tax situation, whatever it may be. And sometimes it feels disingenuous to want to help people, then also ask for more money. I mean, this is like the classic dance that every accountant's going through of like, oh, do I charge more? And it's like, like this clearly this battle. But we are we want to help out wherever we can. And if we just can be the little push and say, hey, they want it. Like, you should offer it.
Yeah.
Be that.
I love it. So Paula said, ping sounds like it may be useful with SOPs also. So I haven't noticed anything per se personally that I would change, but I could see how it could have helped me like when I was first starting my firm with the way that I did some things. So because I've been taking notes for, I feel kind of old here, which I know you guys don't talk. I know I'm young. I'm 36 years young. But once you start doing things on your own and understanding the process of a firm that you left, like some of the way I ask questions has been developed because of my experiences. Whereas if you're just starting, ping can give you that framework a little bit earlier. Let me see. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it is interesting because your procedures and how you're running your firm hopefully are developing each season, each turn of the year. One of the things that we're trying to do is to give you enough time to breathe, because sometimes you don't have enough time to even think about how the processes are running. Like, you're actually literally drowning. One of our big this is breaking news. We're releasing this as of like right before this call or this conversation, we pressed send, but we now have auto drafting within your inbox, which is going to hopefully make emails a lot easier to manage. And what that means is if you opt in, you can have ping auto draft a response using previous context. to answer this client's question, or just give them a response to their email. You're going to edit it. It's not the final draft by any means, but it gets you 50% of the way there, 60% of the way there, 80% of the way there. And I've been doing it on a lot of my emails now, and it's amazing. Like, I love, sometimes it gets it perfectly, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, I look at I'm like, we did it. We solved the problem. We solved everything. And sometimes I'm like, that's not as good. But the idea is that we're trying to give you enough time to go and change how you're handling processes, and you're asking questions, and you can go be introspective on your processes because you're not drowning in emails. You're not drowning in searching with notes.
Yeah, that's definitely a growing pain that I think we all have to go through, is that once you grow, sometimes you lose time just responding to people and not actually doing the work. So Denise Hanlon on LinkedIn asked, how does it compare to Firefly? And I'm not asking you to bash anybody. I've never used Firefly, so I can't address this at all. So you're kind of on the spotlight here.
No, I get, Denise, you're not the only one who asks that. I get that asked all the time. Going back to our conversation from before, there is a mountain of note takers. I can list 5 pretty quickly of Fireflies and all these other tools out there. If you just need somebody taking notes and just having notes, you should use, if you're an accountant, we're actually still taking notes, and we take amazing notes for accounting firms. So it's hard to say, if you're an accounting firm, you should just use Ping. So that's but purely for the note's sake. But going back to what we were talking about before, it's all about what we do with the notes. The notes are a commodity. We take amazing accounting notes, but it's the information and how we can surface that for you in the future. We're pushing this into different platforms. We just announced a financial integrations or Financial Sense integration today. We have Keeper integrations. We have Carbon integrations. We're working on a couple other tax softwares or practice management systems. And this information, we want to make it proactive instead of just sitting in some electronic file folder instead of a physical file notebook, right? Like, it's all about making it useful. And so we're making notes useful for accounting firms. Is that fair to say, Timalyn?
I think that's very fair to say, because for the accounting firm, Ping knows what to do with it. Whereas Firefly, you might have a nice summary, but it's not in a relevant, and again, let me say, not with Firefly, because I haven't used Firefly, but from other people's notes that I've seen from different meetings, it just doesn't know how to categorize the information so that it's useful to you as the accountant. When it comes to conversations with your clients, and I've even used it with a few collaboration calls just to see how it would work out if it was still tax related material. And I apologize, I'm not just chatting it up over here. I was actually looking at our LinkedIn people because it disappeared off my computer. First, Camden, I most definitely want to say thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you taking the time because, like you said, you guys are heavy on the integration side. AWS was down yesterday. So there's probably a lot of stuff you could have been doing today.
No, this is great. This is where I want to be. This is my jam.
Well, I appreciate it. If people wanted to find out more about Ping, if they're like, hey, it sounds great, but I think I might want to take it for a drive, see how it actually works first, where would you like for those folks to go? Yeah,
so you can reach out to me, Camden at pingassistant.com. You can, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, which is just Camden Beam. But we offer everybody a 2-week free trial. We realize that it takes time to understand, okay, what is Ping? What can it actually do for me? And so I offer anybody that's with Timalyn, I will personally walk you through the platform. That's my guarantee. So if you're part of this group, you're watching this, I will walk you through Ping and talk you through how it can help you and your firm. But you can also just sign up directly on pingassistant.com, and we'll find a time to chat, and I can show you the entire product itself.
Well, I appreciate that. There definitely are perks to hanging out with me, you guys. See?
There is.
But I do want to mention one other thing with that. So, Camden's mentioned like all the things that Ping can do, right? I believe coming up soon that if you just want a note taker, and I'm saying it like just want a note taker because why would you just want a note taker after we told you everything that Ping can do with the notes? There will be different pricing levels and tiers. And I believe that's coming soon.
It is, actually. I have a draft in my inbox for you to even give some feedback on the new pricing structure.
Oh, awesome,
So
awesome.
Timalyn's going to be helping us define the pricing. And really quick, Timalyn's awesome. First, she's clearly America's favorite EA, but also incredibly responsive. We live off of client feedback. And hopefully, I'm not overstepping Timalyn by saying hopefully you can feel that we really care. Like if there's ever an issue, we have people checking our processors, which are telling us if there's ever an error or anything like that, literally every hour of the day. Like it's incredibly important that people who get on Ping have a good experience. And so we listen. We want to hear people's feedback. Like this accounting group, I don't think people realize how much of a community it is and how much people actually care about, is my person next door using it, right? Like we want this to be an amazing experience. And so when I talk about pricing, like we're going and launching a bunch of new features, we want to make sure that this is something, we just slashed our prices in half because we're like, you know what, we need to make this more attainable for accounting firms. So we're going to build a base model that's just, hey, you want to come in, you can play right here in this realm, and we'll continue to build features and you can then pick and choose. Because we got feedback. People are saying, I don't know, like it's a little too pricey for me to start. It's like, all right, we'll cut our revenue in half and we'll make it better. So we'll earn that back in other ways. So,
which was a ballsy move. I will tell you guys, because like I said, I'm an OG. They literally came in and cut the price in half. And I was like, whoa, it's a little more than in half, actually.
It is. Well, and if you do the annual package, it's even more than half, right? And so you're on the annual package, and that's hence why it's even more. And it's because my value, if I was trying to build an incredibly expensive tool that's just trying to suck as much value as possible out of a firm, like it's not sustainable. Firms aren't going to appreciate it. I believe the most value that I can bring will result in more value that you like. The more time I can save you, the more money you'll be willing to spend. And so let us earn that value through different bundles, and you can decide how much you want to use and how much you don't want to use. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, I'm kind of tripping over my words there, but
no, you're good.
To make it as attainable as possible for a solo entrepreneur, and also build it as strong enough. We're building with some pretty large firms right now, and so we want to make sure that we have some flexibility or some pricing or some features for them as well.
Yeah. So if you want to check Ping out, like Camden is offered to give you the white glove service, but make sure that you actually make the best use of your 2-week trial as well. Actually get in there and test it out. Don't get in on day 13 and be like, oh shoot, like I need to add these people. When I checked it out, it actually helped me see some things in my back end that weren't all in like I thought. So as I was syncing different things, I was like, shoot, all of my clients are not in as contacts. So I can't actually see all this stuff together. But I do want to mention as well, Camden has offered the white glove treatment, but he has also allowed me to share a little bit of the love with you. And they share a little bit of the Ping love with me as well. If you use the promo code for America's Favorite EA, let me go ahead and clarify. The code is not America's Favorite EA. It's actually Timalyn in all caps -Bowens. I'll drop it in the comments and I'll make sure that it gets in the description of the YouTube video. You can actually get 10% off of your subscription. And I believe that's for the first 12 months if they're doing monthly and first round annually.
Yeah, so it's yep, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, special thanks to you for that as well, Camden. Like I said, I was just like, hey, I think this is great. I want to share it. And he was like, you know what? Let's share some of the love with you. And I was like, let me share it with my community as well. So I appreciate you helping me get that set up too.
Oh, of course. I know. I said, well, hey, can we pay you? And she's like, well, let's just pass the savings to like who I am. Like, so there's a lot of benefits for hanging out with Timalyn. It's not just the white glove experience. She really does care about who she's talking to. So it's awesome.
Cool beans. So Camden, thank you so much. For the people that have watched this, don't forget, if you're on the fence, go follow Camden. He daily is sharing different features about Ping, different integrations that they're working on, things they're getting ready to launch. You might feel left out because you'll be on the outside looking in at all the cool things that are going on with Ping right now. But you can also, again, get 10% off using that promo code Timalyn-Bowens. I'll have it in the description. And make sure that you like the video, share it with your accounting family, and subscribe to the channel because I actually will have some more Ping content coming out and just some more of the other features that I like personally and how I'm going to use them in my firm. Any last words, Camden?
I would say this is the best time to use Ping. End of year planning. Like, you're going to be sitting down with your clients, and this is the most rich information that you're going to have the entire year. You need to capture it. We can build some really cool profiles with it. So sign up for Ping, pingassistant.com. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. And Timalyn, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. You all have a good evening. Make sure if you have any questions, if you're catching the replay, that you drop them in the comments, and I'll be sure to share them with Camden if I can't answer them. Bye now.